it's Adam from ILMB Music Vocal. Welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to go ahead and remake from scratch Sheck Wes's I Love Mine featuring Travis Scott. The tempo for this one is 149 beats per minute and the track is produced by AM. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start off with the main sort of pad stack that you hear in the track. So let's get to the first sound. The first one is going to be using Logic's Alchemy, and it's going to give you that main sound that you hear throughout the entire track. So we're going to go ahead and search that preset up. It is called Analog Poly Ensemble. This one right over here. Let's go ahead and draw in the chord, and then we'll get to a little bit of sound design. It's just a one chord hit that just keeps playing over and over again. All right, so for the sound design, we're just going to open up Logic's Alchemy, and we're going to pull down the cutoff here to about the halfway point, just to make it a little bit darker. And then we'll just add in some EQ just to take out some of the bass. So go and open up Logic's EQ and remove some of the bass here. Something simple like that. All right, next is going to layer that sound with some synth strings. For that, we're going to create a new software instrument track, and we'll bring in Logic's Retro Synth. We'll start off with a preset. We'll go over to synth strings. It's going off my screen, and we're going to use the bright strings preset. Then we're just going to copy the same pattern and just push it up one octave. So let's go ahead and copy down that pattern and push it up one octave. For that, let's do some sound design. We'll bring this down a little bit to make it darker sounding once again. Let's open up the settings. We'll just detune the sound a bit more. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and add in some ambience to the pad stack. Bring in Logic's Alchemy. And for this sound, we're going to go ahead and search up the preset once again. The preset is called Air Choir Sweep, this one right over here. Next, let's go and draw on that pattern because it does switch up a little bit. So we're going to copy down the same chord progression from here, except we're going to add like a top melody line to it. So I'm just going to grab my scissor tool, which is on my right click over here. Chop it up right there. Chop it up once again, and we're going to move this up one. And this is going to come back down, and we'll just follow the same thing here. Next, let's open up Logic's Alchemy. We're going to go ahead and move the performance over to the sort of in between rich and warm. Kind of gives you that dark, menacing vibe. All right, next we're gonna add in another layer. We're gonna add in like a mid pad sound in there just to bring it out a little bit more. So let's create a new software instrument track. We're gonna bring in Logic's Alchemy. So let's type in Alchemy here. And we're gonna go ahead and bring in another preset. The preset is called Additive Sustain. So this one right over here. We're gonna copy down the same pattern over here. Sounds like this. Except I'm just going to take out some of that bass. Kind of want that mid sound in there. Next thing we're going to do is just change the performance over to warm. Take out the reverb. All right, we'll mix it in together. I'll pull this back a little bit. So you see how it's giving you that airy vibe that we need. Next, let's go ahead and stack in another sound. Once again, we'll bring in another instance of Alchemy. And the preset for this one is going to be Analog Smooth. And this one right over here, we'll change it over to the warm performance to start. And I will just copy down the same pattern from here. Open EQ. Make it nice and dark again. Add a little bit of resonance. And last but not least, we're going to add in an organ sound just to bring everything together. So we'll create a new software instrument track, go to vintage B3 organ, we'll go to experimental, and we'll go over to the vintage movie organ. Let's copy down the same pattern. Except I'm just going to open up the preset over here. I'm just going to take out the percussiveness over here, so you don't get that initial hit at the top. All right, now we're going to go ahead and stack all of these tracks together and create one unison sound or one uniform sound using some tone shaping with EQ. So we're going to go Shift Command G. I'm going to bring in Logic's EQ, and we're going to start off with a preset here. Now we want a very mid sort of resonant type of sound. So we're going to go to EQ Tools, and we're going to bring in a preset here called Megaphone. I think it was the Megaphone. No, it's the Megaphone. This one right over here. All right, but we don't want it that sort of nasally. So we're gonna go ahead and bring this back a little bit. And we'll just bring down some of these boosts here. And then we'll bring in another EQ just to make it a little bit more darker. So we'll go to here, we'll bring in another channel EQ. And we're just gonna take a shelf. I'm just gonna make it a little bit darker. We'll add some resonance here. So it kind of makes it more mid-rangey, more darker sounding. And then we're going to add in some distortion using Logic's Chroma Glow. So let's go Control Command P. We'll bring in Logic's Chroma Glow. And we're going to bring in a preset here. You can find it under the vocal category. It is called Plush. This one right over here. Except I'm going to mix it in a little bit. I don't want it fully in there. All right, next we're going to add in some distortion and some reverb. So let's go ahead and Control Command P once again. We'll bring in Logic's Bit Crusher. And I'm just going to add in a little bit of distortion here and noise. We don't want it too much in there. Just to give it a little bit of texture to it. And then we'll bring in some reverb with Logic's Chroma Verb. And we're going to start off with a preset here. We'll go over to Synth Spaces, and we're going to go to the grain effects. Now this is going to give you a nice lush sound. All right, so there is our main pad stack. Next, we're going to add two more sounds in just to sort of fill it out a little bit here and there. So I'm going to create a new software instrument track and make sure it is in my stack. I'm going to go to a preset here. I'm going to go to Sounds of Metro Boomin, and I'm going to bring in the preset here called Pad Heartless. It is the pad from the Weeknd's track Heartless, if I can find it here in the list. It's just a preset I put together here. I'm going to copy down the same pattern. It sounds like this. So I want that a little darker. It's got another texture in there. Fill that out a little bit more. And then there's like a little splash hit in the middle. So we'll create a new software instrument track. Put that back into that substack. And for that sound, we're going to go ahead and bring in Logic's Retro Synth. We'll go over to Synth Strings, and we'll go over to the String Machine preset. And I'm going to draw in a pattern here. I can just copy down this. It's going to be slightly different. It's not going to hit on the one. I'm going to push that over. We'll take this out. Let's bring this back. So it kind of just hits like that, except I want to bring down the release a little bit so it's not as long. Bring back the attack. All right, now we are done with that pad stack, I promise. Next, what we're gonna do is gonna bring in that pluck sound that happens in the background, sort of like an ambient pluck. So for that, we're gonna go over to a preset. We're gonna go to synthesizer, we're gonna go over to plucked, and we're gonna go over to the blue cavern preset. Let's go and draw on that pattern, then we'll get to some sound design. Copy that over. All right, so that didn't sound right. We just got to push this over one beat. All right, now, next, let's get to the drums, and this really makes the entire song. Go over to our library browser. We're gonna go user patches. We're gonna go over to the drum kits, and I'm gonna bring in the I Love My B drum kit. Here it is right over here. We'll start off with something simple like the clap. Let's put it on the 3. Draw on the snare. And this is gonna happen right over there. We'll take out the second one. Let's bring in the hi-hat pattern. We'll start with like a 2-step. These are going to come out, and then we're going to add in some repeats. So we get one right over here. And another one right over here. And then that blank space is going to be filled up by this open hat right here. Let's change this over to 32 steps, and it happens on there. All right, next, let's bring in the kick. And next, the 808, which is pretty much the foundation to this entire beat. That is pretty much the foundation to the beat. We just got to add in one more sound. So as the beat continues, you get like this little white noise splash thing. So we're just going to copy over this pattern, create a new software instrument track. We'll bring it down over here. We'll go Control Command P, and we'll bring in Logic's Alchemy. For the preset, we're going to go ahead and bring in a preset called Byte String. So this one right over here. And what we're going to do, let's just draw in the pattern. It's just going to be the chord progression here. So let's copy this down. Got to pitch that up one. Maybe we'll just bring it up one more. I'll stop it right there. Now for that sound, I want to bring in like a little white noise splash in there as well, just to add to the impact. So I'm going to open up Logic's Alchemy, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Advanced tab. We're going to go over to Sound Source A, and we're going to go over to this tab right over here. We're going to turn on Noise on Sound Source A, and it's going to be the white noise. So get that white sort of noise splash in there. All right. And then what we're going to do is just bring it down the top end a little bit. Bring down the bottom end of it. That is pretty much the beat right there. Next, I'm going to go ahead and mix it, arrange it, and when we come back, we'll take a listen to the final product. ILMB featuring Travis Scott remade in Logic Pro. For Logic Pro users out there, I'm gonna go ahead and save this entire session for you, place it as a download link below this video. If you don't use Logic, I got your back as well. I'm gonna export all MIDI stems, audio stems, and of course include the drum kit that you heard in this remake. You can find that entire playback down below the like button as well. If you do have a question on this or just want to chat or have any suggestions for future videos, let's go chat down below. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Later. Peace.